All right, we are live. We are live. Hello, 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 everyone. Incredible greetings. As you guys come in, if you're watching over on YouTube, not YouTube, on who this video, TikTok, double tap the screen. If you're watching over on Facebook, like the video, YouTube, give the video a thumbs up. You do have to come out of the chat in order to give the video a thumbs up. We are going to do kind of another sublimation for beginners. If you were on the last couple of days, we definitely showed some of these things. But if you missed it, maybe you were working or you were working on some orders. If you're someone that's been struggling with tumblers and things of that nature, shirts, we went over things like, pressing your shirt, getting that line out that comes from the paper, tumblers, and I'm also going to do a rag. So for me, this is for an order that has to be completed tonight. So I'm gonna do this order with you guys. All right. How are you guys doing? I'm just sharing it out. So you guys just give a moment. If you are watching the playback of this, this is a live broadcast. So we do have to share it out. We kind of have to wait for the algorithm to do its thing to kind of get people on. So this is going to be a little bit different when you're watching something that is pre-recorded. So by the time you're watching this, of course, it's recorded, but it is a recording of a live session. And so before we go and get into like the nitty gritty of it, we want to kind of, get the audience in the room so that way they can see the full process, but they still have questions, we can ask them. Answer them. But what you can do if you're watching the playback of this, once you see my hands, I'm going to go and like flash my hands in front of the camera. Once you if you fast forward and once you see my hands, you know that that's where the good stuff is going to start. That's where the information will start at. But I do have to share this out right now. So just bear with me, okay, as we share this out. All right. So hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings, incredible greetings. Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you guys so very much for hopping on with me on this good old Friday. About to put some labor in before Labor Day, Hello to everyone that's joining over on TikTok. Thank you guys so very much for tapping in. It is still HS Ink Week. If you did not know, we celebrated 4 years of our Inkiversary this week on Wednesday. Super, super exciting. Some of you guys, a lot of you guys, your orders are out the door. They have been dropped off and picked up by UPS, USPS, and yeah. It's been an exciting week. Hello, hello, hello. Who was that said hello? Hi, Phyllis. Thank you guys for double tapping the screen. Thank you for all the likes. Someone already shared the video. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Vaughn, for sharing the video. We appreciate it more than you know. That helps get people in the room. So this video will be for all those who sublimate, okay? It doesn't matter if you are a newbie, intermediate user, if you are a vet in the game, there's always something, new that you might pick up on, that you might learn when you watch, when you watch others. So we're going to break it all down kind of the professor way. Like I said, a tumbler, a shirt, a rag. So tumbler, shirt, and a rag. So 3 different, substrates. 2 of them are still fabric, but it is a little bit different in the processes for me and how I like to even set up my prints. If you have, depending on like which printer you have, can you still do rags? Yes. Will you be able to do it the way that I prefer to do it? Not quite, but I will kind of break that down for you as far as what will happen when you don't have the large paper. Doesn't mean that you cannot do a rag, but you have to do some extra steps. You kind of almost have to treat it like it's a shirt, okay? All righty, let's see. Hey, just say, as you guys come in, just say hello. That helps the algorithm. Just a quick hello. If you're able to, don't do it if you are driving, but if you're able to, just drop a hey. I'd like to see who is watching, who's on with us. Let me know if you are new to sublimation. Okay, we're going to do it this way, right? We're going to, of course, always use 365. If you are someone that is a crafter, but you have not tapped into sublimation yet, all right? You've kind of seen it in the craft groups and things that you're in, but you have not tapped into it. You don't know how it's going to be of benefit to you. Go ahead and put a 3 in the chat. If you are somebody who is new to it, it's like, okay, I got the printer, I got the ink, I got some paper, I got a couple substrates, I got this tumbler. I tried to do it, but the color was dull. What did I do wrong? If that is you, put a 6. If you're trying to do these shirts and it wasn't as vibrant, if your colors were off, if you tried to print, you tried to press or get red, but you got orange. If you tried to press or tried to get royal blue, but you got purple. If you tried to do green, but you got blue, you put in a 6 and let me know which one are you? Okay, which one of those issues have you experienced? And if you are somebody who is pretty well versed in the world of sublimation, but you just want to hang out with your girl, go ahead and drop a 5 in the chat just so I can kind of see who's in the room. That helps me know how to really gauge how much information, because we don't have a lot of newbies that need to know things like what printers to use and things like that. Then we don't have to go into that part. We can just get right to the good stuff. Okay. So let me know where you fall at by putting in 3, 6, or 5. 3, if you have not purchased the machine, you probably have heard about it. You're kind of, sort of, maybe thinking about it, but you're like, I don't really want to add something else to my craft room. Put a 3. 6, if you're like a newbie, you're starting, but you can still use some help because you're running, you're kind of running into some issues, or you just want to know some of the newer things that you can do. If you are a newbie or even experienced and you have not done a sublimation rag yet, go ahead and put a 0, because we do 3, 6, 5, and 3, 0. We already used a 3. So if you have not done any of these substrates, such as a tumbler, a shirt, or a rag, put a 0 in the chat. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. I'm going to put it in the chat of this one. All right, so let's go ahead and I was still typing to share this out. Followers. All right, and all copy, share. Let's share this again. And we're going to go at everyone for the folk in my group. Oh, wait, I gotta first choose the group. Today has been a really busy day. I was working on an obituary. Then I had a game board that I had to design, had shirts and tumblers I had to design, had some stickers for like the styrofoam cups that I had to do. So today has been like a crazy day. But after this, I am definitely taking I'm taking a little break after I get done with this live. I mean, I'll probably be like on social media, but probably not go catch up on like Bel Air. I got to catch up on Power before it comes back. I think it's like they're on like a little break until September 6th. So I got some things I have to catch up on. I have been professor, in professor mode. I have been in lead designer mode, lead creator mode, literally the entire week. I did not go to bed yesterday really this morning, until 3 o'clock this morning. So I am running on fumes. I'm hoping that I can get through this show. But if not, it'll be there tomorrow because your girl is tired. You hear me? Your girl is tired. All right, I'm almost there, y'all. I got to stop running my mouth. Let me just go ahead and get this shared out real quick because it's taking a little too long to get this done. All right, so there. New to sublimating tumblers. Hi, Jerry. Hello. Hello, sir. How are you? And I said, hey, Jesse. Okay, so I have some 6. Okay, I have another 6 here. 0. So which one haven't you done? You haven't done a rag, a tumbler, or a shirt? Actually, I've been working on shirts with HTV on them. I have tumblers, but haven't tried them. So it's basically 0. I've been working on your first cuts class. Awesome. We actually have another live video for that one scheduled because we have a lot of people that got the 5. I was trying to wait until I got the 5 before I did it, but I'm not sure if I still want to get the 5. But we're still going to do the first cuts because I can help you with that even if I don't have the machine. So we have that one coming up really soon here. All right. And one more. If you guys have groups that you are able to share things like this to, please go ahead and share it. We provide a lot of great information. We're very detailed. We answer your questions in real time so that you can be as successful as you possibly can be when it comes to sublimation. All right. So definitely hit the share button. All right. Linda from Bermuda. All right. There we go. All shared out. We are ready to get started. I'm taking my braids out too, so y'all won't see my face. You will only see my hands because I am taking my braids out so that I can get my hair done over. We have a baby shower to go to tomorrow. So yeah. All right. I don't think I missed any of them over here on TikTok. Any comments or anything like that over here? No, I don't think so. Okay, there we go. All right. So hello, everyone. I am Shakia, the professor of HS. Oh, I just realized something. I put Sort-Tek, and I actually have a Team 365 shirt and not a Sort-Tek shirt. I got to go in and change that after the fact because that's not a Sort-Tek shirt. But I am Shakia, the professor of HS Ink 365. We are the home of the honestly speaking brand of products that just celebrated our 4-year Inkiversary. So if you've ever seen this cyan, magenta, yellow, that is us, the home of the 365-degree sublimation paper, and you're going to see we're going to get great results in just 30 seconds on this shirt. And then the tumbler, I have to go and put it in the oven. Now, I don't really like doing tumblers here. I don't mind using like my regular standard oven. However, our family has been rough on my oyster one. So I may have to get like a dedicated one to where they're not pulling on it and it doesn't mess up the seal on it, because it releases heat. So now I do have to kind of turn that tumbler. Normally I don't have to turn it, or if I use the big oven, you know, at the old, which you guys know is like the old headquarters, which i.e. my mom's house. So if I use the one there, I just use it as a regular oven. I don't turn it. I just put it in there for 4 minutes and it is absolutely perfect. But in the smaller oyster one, I do have to, you know, turn it. I have to let it go for a little bit longer because there's a lot of air gaps on that particular one. All right, but you're going to get to see the full wrap process. This is a design that, how many of you guys struggle with black tumblers? We are about to do a black tumbler. There's a lot of black in that, as you can see. All right, so we're going to see how that comes out. You're going to be able to see if how well the product does on things such as black tumblers. Anybody here struggle with black tumblers? Who struggles here with getting good seams on their tumblers? Thank you guys so much for the follow. Thank you guys for the 3 shares. We are already up to 3,500 likes on TikTok. Keep double tapping that screen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. All right, you've never done a tumbler. All right, so I know you do sublimation, all right? I'm gonna have to send you like a tumbler and just a sheet. That way you don't have to worry about designing, printing it out. A tumbler and a pre-printed sheet. And I'll send you one of these. This is like a little kit. Like this makes my life so much easier when I'm doing the live videos. I'll send you one of my little kits here. That way we got to get you doing a tumbler, Jesse. Okay? We got to get you where you try out a tumbler. All right? So I'll send you one of my little kits and a pre-made or pre-printed sheet and a tumbler. All right, so things that we need for sublimation. Let's run down this list, shall we? If somebody wants to go ahead and play assistant, you can, and you can go ahead and type out these supplies in the chat for me. That way I can stay focused over here. I would greatly appreciate it, okay? So things that we're going to need for sublimation. Although it's not here, you are going to need a printer that you can put sublimation ink in. That printer can be, I'm not sure if you guys can see it somewhat, but I do have a Sawgrass over in the corner. I know TikTok can't see it, but you will need a printer. So whether it's a true sublimation printer. So go ahead, if you're taking notes, you want to write in the chat, true sublimation printers are the Sawgrass SG500. That is an 8.5-inch wide printer. The Epson F170, Sure Color F170. That is also an 8.5-inch wide printer, but both of those printers will allow you to print up to 47 inches long. We do have some rolls of the fast dry. We don't have any tacky, but you can cut them to custom sizes up to 47 inches, and you can print that long with those printers, okay? So those are true sublimation printers that are 8.5-inch wide printers. One retails now for like $500-600, and I know the F170, I just checked, is like $449. Then you have the SG1000, which technically out of the box, you will hear a lot of people say that the SG1000, you can print 13 by 19. While that is true, you need an additional piece for that. Right out of the box, the SG1000 for $1,000 only prints 11 inches wide. So you can put your 11 by 17 paper in there. You also would not be able to do the rolls with it right out of the box. In order to be able to use, dang, that was a tongue twister, 13 by 19 or 13-inch wide paper or use rolls, you have to purchase an additional bypass tray. That's $125 on top of that printer. And then the inks for those can be pretty pricey. The Epson inks are not bad, but sometimes they are hard to find. which is why we do have some who use an F-150, F-170, look, talking about the truck, and the 570, and they do put, honestly speaking, Sublimation ink in it, because there was a time where they could not find that Epson ink anywhere. So you can use our ink. We always just give the disclaimer that, you know, you may see a little bit of, you may see some color because it is a third-party ink, but it's still, you know, you'll still get, you know, fairly great colors and vibrant colors with it. It's just that the tone or the shade of color can. So I'm not saying that it does, but we have to give that disclaimer just in case your colors are altered. You can't come and say, well, you didn't say anything. We did tell you that it can happen. Doesn't mean that it will happen, okay? So a sublimation printer, those are the true ones. Then you have, I mentioned it, but I didn't talk about it. The Epson F570. Now that one goes all the way up to a 24-inch. Epson does not have a printer that's a true sublimation printer in that 11-inch, 13-inch range because of patents. So they're not able to make that one. So they have an 8.5, and they shoot all the way up to 24. And then after that, you have your 36, your 44, and wider or larger. Okay. So those are your true ones. The F570 is it 2000? Now I think it's like 2,600. I think that's how much the F570 is. Now, what most of you guys will get as a crafter, as someone who is new to sublimation, you're going to probably look into a converted printer. Yes, even when you are using an EcoTank, it is a converted printer because the ink that comes in the box is not sublimation ink. So many people will call, they'll say, I have a sublimation printer that's a 2803. That is not a sublimation printer. It is a printer that you can use for sublimation, but it is not a sublimation printer. So if you put the ink that came in that box in there first, and you have to, like, not say drain it out, it has to be drained out, because dye ink basically eliminates, it makes sublimation ink null and void, and nothing will transfer. If you have pigment ink, you would end up with a yellow mark or yellow blob when you press. But with dye ink, it completely cancels out sublimation ink. So you don't want to put that ink in that printer at all. So when it asks you to load or to put the ink in there, you're going to put your sublimation ink in there, whether you are using a syringe because your bottles were not EcoTank bottles, or if you have the bottles that are keyed for EcoTank printers, okay? So those, it ranges from an ET 2400 all the way up to a 16650. So I'm gonna let y'all in on something, okay? Every single one. If you don't believe me, I showed the specs. That video is probably like 3 years old now. Every single one of those printers are of the same quality. The resolution is the same. The print speed is the same. And that's what's most important. They have features like automatic document feeder, duplex printing, Ethernet capabilities. That means absolutely nothing to you when it comes to sublimation. It means nothing. None of those features will help your sublimation projects come out better. So it makes no sense to spend the extra money on those devices. The only benefit to not getting one of the smaller ones is the waste tank. If you did not know, if you're doing a lot of print head cleanings and things of that nature, you had to do a power clean, at some point, your maintenance box will say that it has expired, right? You'll see the notification saying it's nearing the end of its life and it's going to expire. You have to change that maintenance box. On all of the smaller, any of their printers that retails, so not if you kind of catch it on sale, but if it retails for, let's just say $219, because I think some of them have gone up to that and lower, because there's some that's like $179. So that's your 2400, your 2803, your 2720, ones like that. Epson doesn't allow for you to really change that out. You can purchase a new one because it's the same waste tank as the other EcoTank printers. It's just that it does not have an option to reset the level. It doesn't know how much ink is in there, just the same way it doesn't know how much ink is in the cartridge. You have to reset it. So if you get those printers, put in your budget. You might as well go ahead, as soon as you go buy your printer, you might as well go and find a website that sells the waste tank like resetter. So there'll be like a WIC resetter. So just look for Epson waste ink resetter or something like that. Just go ahead and get it now. That way you already have it, because you are going to need it. Once it says that waste that tank has expired, it won't allow you to print. It will not allow you to print. So put that in your budget to grab that resetter. Thank you so much for the follow. All right. But if you have some of the other ones, all you have to do is just get the waste tank and just change it. And then there's going to be a setting where you just basically tell it, hey, I put a new one in there. So is it worth it? You have to ask yourself, is it worth the extra $200-300 just so that I can change out the waste tank without having to purchase additional key? I've never done them. I'm telling you the printers that you can use. Don't take these as a recommendation. I'm telling you the printers that you can use, but they are not recommendations of mine. I don't recommend them. I am just telling you the printers that you can use, okay? Make sure that you understand that. I am not recommending them. I'm just telling you the printers that you can use. So any of those eco tanks. Then when you get into like the 15,000s, that allows you to print larger or wider sheets up to 13 inches wide, but you can print up to 47 inches long. So in that printer, you can use 11 by 17, you can use 13 by 19. You can get the rolls and make you a 13 by 19, a 13 by 21 sheet, 13 by 24, 13 by 36, 13 by 40. You can do longer with those printers, okay? The 15,000, a lot of people do experience a lot of issues no matter which brand of paper you're using with jamming. That's a common. Is it a thing where everyone experiences it? No, but it's a very common issue to have a lot of paper jams with the 15,000. So just be mindful of that when you're making your decision on which printer to get. Then you have the 8550. It is a photo printer. It has 2 extra chambers on it. All the other ones have CMYK, right? Cyan, magenta, yellow, black. The 8550 has 2 additional colors on it. It has what's called a photo black. That is pigment ink. All the others are dye inks. That photo black is a pigment ink. And then it has a gray. We do sell the gray ink in Sublimation, but what we do not carry is a photo black. There is no such thing as a photo black Sublimation ink. I know you've probably seen them, online and things like that. You've seen them in stores, seen them on A to Z app. It's still just a black Sublimation ink. It's just that their regular Sublimation one, it might look brown and that one might look like slightly darker. But photo black is not a color. It's a type of ink. The regular black is dye. The photo black is pigmented. It's pigment ink. That's the only difference. So when you come to our website, you will get 2 black inks, the cyan, magenta, yellow, and then the gray. So I just want you guys to know that about the 8550. I don't see the purpose in paying for the 8500, which is the small version of the 8550. Some people, they did. It's still like $600 or something like for that one. And some people do love it. So I did forget to mention that one with the 8.5-inch wide ones. You can do the 8500. That is the one with the gray and the photo black, but it's an 8.5-inch wide. With the 8550, you can actually print up to 86 inches. I don't know what we would do within Sublimation where we'll need 87 inches. But if you're doing like a banner or something that's polyester and you want to just do a longer run. So you can print up to 86 inches with the 8550. The last set of EcoTank printers that you can convert into a Sublimation printer will be the ones that, if I had to recommend anything to you as far as a conversion printer, it would be one of these. All right, so we'll take a little breather. It would be the 16600 or 16650. These are technically the exact same printers. The 16650 says that it prints slightly faster. That's the only difference between those. You pay an extra $100, I think, just for it to print about 2 sheets faster than the 8550. But if you find any one of those on the shelves, it would be one that I recommend getting, because the ink in that printer is more compatible with sublimation. So I think we did have a few people when I asked, how many of you guys, so just in case we have some new people in the room, how many of you guys have experienced issues where with your EcoTank printer, you print red, but you get orange? You print royal blue, but you get purple. You print green, but it comes out blue. How many of you guys have experienced that? So you cannot reset the waste tank. You have to buy a new one. So yeah, it doesn't work on that. So all of those you can reset, like you just buy the tank and you reset it on the device. You set it on the printer. That resetter is only for those smaller printers that you convert. Okay. So I see a yes here. All right. So no, we're all good. Okay. It's the reds for me. Other than that, I'm pretty good with tumblers. So the reason why some of you guys are experiencing those issues with those colors is because the printers that you are using, they use dye-based ink. Dye-based ink, think of it like food coloring. If you look at them in the bottle, they're really dark. But sublimation ink is really, really bright and vibrant, okay? So if we take, this is not an Epson one, this is from my Canon, and no, you cannot use a Canon. I'm just using this one because I don't know where my Epson bottles are. So if you look at this, right? And you look at that color right there, it looks kind of orange. It's like food coloring. The colors are really, really dark. But sublimation it's like a mustard yellow for holding up the yellow. This is pigment ink. Sublimation is closer to the color of pigment ink. This is not quite yellow because it is heat activated, but it's closer to the color, like the consistency of pigment ink. Pigment ink is a little bit, the density on it is higher than dye-based ink because this has toner powder. This is a thicker ink. This is why some of you guys experience a lot of clogs when it comes to using the EcoTank printers, because this ink is slightly thicker than just the thin, that's just liquid, like, type ink. It's slightly thicker here than it is like the dye-based ink. So not only can it cause some issues with clogs, especially if you're not doing a lot of maintenance and you're not cleaning your print heads manually. Even on my big printers, my Roland, we have a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly, and an annual maintenance that has to be done on that. So for me, printer maintenance is just second nature, and I do it on all of my printers, and that's how they last so long, and I get great results from my printers. All right, but the 16600, 16650 in the box comes this pigment ink. So it's going to be more compatible and your colors are going to be more accurate. Of course, you're using a third-party ink. It can't be completely spot on, but it's not going to be way off like with all the other EcoTank printers, okay? So those are all the printers that printers that you can use. Then you're going to need paper, of course. Now, if you are a newbie, you're not quite, maybe you spent all of your money on the printer, getting you some blanks, your ink, because that is a requirement. If you wanted to use standard paper, could you? Yes. The colors, the images and edges won't be as sharp. Your colors won't be as saturated because that paper is going to soak up a lot of that ink and it's not going to be able to release it. You want to use sublimation paper, preferably, honestly speaking, sublimation paper. All of our papers, because it is HS Ink Week, I was busy. I did not change it last night or not like I was supposed to because I was tired. So right now, anything that is still available is 1563, 1563 from 8.5 by 11 to 11 by 17. The 13, someone says, is showing sold out. So all of the sizes are 1563 right now. All right. Once you have your sublimation paper, your sublimation ink, your printer, you're going to need substrates. When it comes to sublimation, it has to be a synthetic fiber. The most common is polyester. The most common is polyester. There are others, which we talk about in our sublimation. Hold on. I forgot to put my content disclosure on TikTok. All right, there we go. which we'll talk about in our sublimation bootcamp, but most common, polyester. The higher the percentage, the better the results. If the substrate is tightly woven. There are some things that are 100% polyester, but your color still won't come out right because of the way the fibers are woven together. They're very, very gappy, which leaves a lot of like spaces where there won't be color. That's not like the color isn't like tight together. So with those spaces, it makes the image look lighter than it really is. And then there's going to be some where, I mean, those fibers are sewn so tight or woven so tightly together that color is absolutely beautiful. Okay. So you're going to need polyester. 100 is best. If it's mixed, especially with spandex, it's still good. 89% is going to give you your best results, but you can use ones lower than that. 65% is normally good for bleaching because you will bleach out the cotton part of it and not the sublimation part, because sublimation, polyester does not bleed. Polyester does not bleach, should I say. So you can use the 65-35 blended ones, which is 65% polyester, not the other way around. And you're going to get fairly decent results from that blend of fibers as well. All right. If we're doing a hard, so also that things is polyester. This is a microfiber towel. This is polyester. This is actually 89% polyester and the rest is polyamide, which is kind of like plasticky. So you have these, you do have to press a little bit longer because of that polyamide. And then when it comes to hard substrates, your tumblers, your mugs, your coasters, anything, it has to be coated for sublimation. To the naked eye, you will not be able to tell if it is coated for sublimation. You want to just check the description and, you know, preferably order it from somebody that's a reputable source that specializes in sublimation blanks, kind of like the Blank Spot, places like that. You want to shop with them because we know that it's going to be rated for sublimation. You have to be very careful when you're on that Prime app because there's a lot of sellers that sell regular tumblers and it'll say, Amazon Choice, but that's not a sublimation blank. Oh, puzzles is a big one too, where people end up getting the wrong puzzles because of that whole choice thing, but they're not looking at the description or the title for it to say sublimation. Okay. It has to be coded in order to be able to use it for sublimation. All right. Now, I'm not going to pick up that lint brush because I told y'all I'm taking my braids out. Y'all won't catch me slipping. So there is a lint brush. You can use the lint brush if you desire. I am one where I do not use a lint brush. You won't really see me using that when it comes to sublimation. I use it for my colored shirts because especially cotton ones, they carry a lot of lint, but I don't typically use it. I've seen some people lint brush like mugs and tumblers, and I don't understand why. But hey, they say it works for them. And if it builds confidence for them and they feel like they need that, hey, do you, okay? But I don't, but I did have it there because most will say that is something that you need for sublimation. I don't feel that way, okay? Heat tape is always great, especially when you're dealing with smaller items or thicker items and you have to flip it over. I'm not going to use heat tape for anything other than my tumbler tonight. I don't use heat tape for shirts. I don't use them for the rags. I just kind of put it on there, but you can use heat tape, so it's great to have it. The painter's tape is for the tumblers, but I'm going to not use those. I already have mine pre-cut on my little kit here, so I will be using this to wrap my tumbler. For the tumbler, if you're doing tumblers, a squeegee, always, always, always helpful. And then some sort of cutting utensil because we recommend that you always, always, always trim the edges off of your sublimation prints. Even if you do not see any ink along the edges, you still want to trim. You still want to trim because if there is the slightest bit of ink, it will be not visible to the naked eye, but the moment that heat hits it, it's going to activate that ink. It is going to gas off and it will end up on your substrate. How many of you guys here have had the phantom line on your shirts? And I'm going to raise my hand. This is me putting my hand up because it has happened to me when I forget to trim it. So I try to make it a habit, but if I'm rushing, sometimes I do forget. And I'm like, God dang it. I end up with the phantom line on my shirts. Okay. Okay, I purchased the Epson EcoTank 2400. I put the non-HS ink sub ink in it. The color has lines. So that sounds like it's coming from your print settings. How you will know. So this is how you know if it is your print settings or if it is something with the printer itself and you have to do some maintenance. You want to print out a nozzle check. A nozzle check does not fix the issue. A nozzle check just lets you know the state of your print heads. So you want to print that out. If your nozzle check has pretty much 95%, 98% of the lines filled in, you may have one or two breaks, then it's not from that. But if you are missing segments, if there's a lot of breaks, that is where your lines are coming from. And that's called, like, those are banding lines. And you'll have to do some maintenance. You'll have to maybe run a couple print head cleanings. Some people will tell you to print out purge sheets. Just let y'all know that really doesn't do anything. They will swear you up and down that it does, but they also are doing 1,000,001 of them. And that's just really no different than doing a bunch of print head cleaning. So just telling you now, purge sheets, they really don't do much. They don't do much of anything. There are uses for them, but not to fix your printer. So let's say you do the nozzle check and your lines are perfect. Then it's your print settings. It's probably the fact that you're getting an error message. So if you've gone in and you set it to, let's say, premium matte, or you did plain paper. Well, no, if you did plain paper, it'll still print out that way. So you may have changed it to premium matte because that's what every group, there's this little blue thing that shoots around all the groups that tell you to use premium matte. Well, when you do that, if your printer was set to the plain paper, just a standard setting, it's going to give you a paper mismatch. If you do not select the correct option when you get that error, it is going to print out on the defaulted setting. And plain paper, bright white on a standard or normal on a Mac will give you a lot of banding lines because it's just going really, really fast. It's not trying to keep the ink close together. So you are going to experience banding lines. If you get that error, now y'all have to come back another day because I don't remember exactly what it says on there. I think it says, do you want to print with this? It basically is telling you the settings that the printer is set to. You hit no. And then it will automatically switch over to the specified if you're using premium matte. We don't use premium matte here. We use plain paper, bright white, but we change it to the highest possible quality. On some printers, that is high. On other printers, it's a setting that says you have to click on the drop down and it goes all the way up to quality and it will show more settings. It's just going to say more settings. So that's the highest possible quality. So it's going to be one of those reasons why you have those lines. But the first course of action is to do a nozzle check and check the current state of your print heads. Thank you so much for the share. So I cannot speak for other papers. For the paper that I use, we use plain paper, bright white, and it's right here on the settings. Okay. And some people have adopted this and they've added it to their paper. No, they didn't test it, but because they have it on their paper, but they be in their video saying premium matte. I'm just trying to figure out how that happened, Harpo. But plain paper, bright white, you want to set it to the highest possible settings. I personally use the majority of the time. I do use automatic quite often as well. If it's something that's pre-made, but when I'm designing myself, I use Adobe RGB Gamma 1.8. High speed can be off or on. That really doesn't matter. What's missing from here is the quiet mode. You must turn quiet mode on. And then under maintenance and the settings, we want thick paper and envelope. And we recommend that you drop your density down. This must be the old paper because density isn't on here. But we recommend that you drop your density down to anywhere from -5, it can go all the way up to like -15, -20, depending on your printer and if you get an excessive amount of pinwheels. But we do have a video on our YouTube. Search Honestly Speaking print settings, and the Windows PC and the Mac one will come up. The Windows one is probably about 3 years old, but it's still valid to this day. Okay. All right. So excited that I got to talk to you today. Same here. Okay, so I'm going to wrap the tumbler so that I can go put that, well, yes, I can go put that in the oven, and I'm just gonna have to set it. Then I'm gonna have to run over there to turn it, because like I said, our oven, it's inconsistent because the kids pull on it and it's not a good seal on it, and the air be getting all out of there. So I do have to go, now I have to rotate it. If you watch my videos like before, it used to come out perfect. I never had to rotate it, but hey, kids, husband, and you know what? I'm not gonna put it on them. I've, put a pot or two because I'm a rebel and I will forget to grab a pot holder, and I end up trying to just use it with like some napkins, and that pan burned the hell out of me, and I end up dropping it on the door. So I may have not helped contribute to knocking it off track as well. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and do the tumbler first, just so that we can wrap that and get that in the oven. And then you guys let me know if you want to see rag or shirt next. Oh, let me grab my print here. Normally, I am using a ruler and a straight blade on my self-healing mat to put this down and cut it. But I got too much stuff on my desk and I don't want to move the camera, so I'm going to do it all on camera. All right. Well, I'll do it over here. Love this because I'll lose it. Now, usually I print this on 8.5 by 11-inch paper, and I only cut down one side. But because this is on 13 by 19, I have to trim down technically two sides. I have to come here to split it in half, which I actually should have trimmed it first. Let me trim this one just to make sure that I don't forget. I do recommend leaving some white around your print. I don't kind of do like the crazy cut. I like to try and keep my lines as straight as possible. It just makes it to where you can find your center point easy. Okay, so I'm going to put that off to the side. So now with this one, I like to position my print to where the natural margin is left on the side that will overlap, like that will go on top. And then the part where I'm going to trim it is on the opposite side of that. So I always know for me, because I have my logo at the bottom, and I always know that's the side that I cut on. And so I'm going to cut into this. When I'm designing for the tumblers that I use, y'all ready? Right? So I need an assistant again in the chat. The tumblers that I am using measures 8 inches in height. And going around the width, it measures 9.25. If I was to take a ruler and measure it. So my rule of thumb is to add 0.1 to my width. So my width goes from 0.95 in whatever system I'm using, whether it's, I don't really design in Canva like that much, but if it was Canva, I've taught it in Canva, I would make it 9.35. If I'm in Silhouette, 9.35. Photoshop, I end up having to make a box because it's normally bigger, or it depends on how you're designing it. So either I'm going to make a box that's 9.35, or the design page itself will be 9.35, and I have to save it, bring it back in, all this other kind of good jazz. But 9.35 is what I would use. I add, so in the chat, add 0.1 to your width. Add 0.1 to your width. For my height, I add 0.15. 0.15. So my height measures 8 inches. So I add, so when I'm putting it in the system, I make my height 8.15. And I do that so that I have a little bit extra at the top and a little bit extra at the bottom. Then the one on the side just gives me a slight overlap, not a whole lot, and it gives me better control of placement of my design. When I cut into it, I also kind of, when I cut it off, I cut into the color just a little bit. That is how you ensure if you designed it with an overlap. Now, if you designed it to go butt to butt, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have that white seam. But if you designed it where you have some overlap, you have some wiggle room to cut into the color of the design. And that's what I do to ensure that I don't have any white on the edges, okay? So we're going to go ahead and trim this down, being very careful. I try and stay as straight as possible. And I want to see some of that color come off. So when I cut this down, see right there, I went into the white. Because even the smallest bit, you would think that it won't make a big difference, but because the ink transfers, it makes a difference. So you want to make sure that you have some color on that side. If there is no color, like in a section over there, just kind of look at your print and see if you need to trim it anywhere else. So if I was doing this on 8.5 inch wide, 8.5 by 11, or just 8.5 inch wide, because even on the 14, I would just cut down one side. Once we cut that one side down, we go ahead and put our tumbler in the middle. So I like to leave it in the plastic, take off the top. I put my hand on the inside, just slide it off. Make sure that there's no little, because there's like a little plastic piece sometimes. And there was something else on this one. I normally don't have anything on mine, but it's a little something. So I'm just going to wipe it down with this towel. Okay. But I try not to touch it. We're going to take our print and we're going to put it in the middle. Can everybody see that? We're going to put it in the middle. Then the side that I cut touches the tumbler. It doesn't matter if it's high, low. That part does not matter. Okay. But we do want to try and line it up. The reason why I don't cut the tops and bottoms, they're straight. So you'll be able to line them up. And if you line up your top and bottom, then your print should line up as well. So see, I lined up the bottoms. And if we look inside there, they line up. And you can see where my design is here. You see that? And look at where that comes. So there, that's the overlap. It's not just an overlap of the paper that gives you good seams. It's an overlap of the color. The color must be overlapping, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead and squeeze that together. I use 1 inch heat tape. I put one in the middle and put my thumb, really pull that so it's tight. Now I can adjust. This is why I did not care how this was set up. I did not care because once I put this here, it's not going to shift or move. My edges are going to still be lined up and I can push this back. So I'm just pushing on the tumbler to push it back into the color to make sure I have some color on top. Make sure I have some color on the bottom. I like for mine to go all the way to the ends. Some people don't like that because they feel like they get ghosting. My method, I don't really get ghosting on the end of anything. It's just not heating enough and I might have some on the top, but that's about it. So we put the one. Then we want to crease it. So I take my hand and I go around it like this. Because I can't really tell the bottom because there's a lot of extra paper here. But when I crease it, it lets me know exactly where the edges are because I don't like to put my tape past the edge because then that's going to make it bulky when I push it over. So I'm going to find the end or the top, doesn't matter which order you do it in. It's kind of like that word problem that got y'all in the chokehold, multiplication before division or division before multiplication. It doesn't matter. There's no hierarchy. Same thing here. It doesn't matter if you go top first, bottom first, top second, or top first, bottom second. Same way, it don't matter if you do multiplication first or division. It's the order of operation from left to right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put one on the top. And then we're going to put one in between those. So I usually only have about 5 pieces of tape because I'm using the 1-inch tape on my seam. How many of you guys use way more tape than this? How many of you guys use way more tape than this? Thank you so much for the follow. Then I like to burnish it down. Uh-oh, what the heck? So someone says guilty. Thank you so much. I used to, but now that I use your method, I don't. Okay. Thank you for the follow. Yes, I use more tape. All right. Sorry, this is in a rock because I'm using my phone and swiping through for TikTok. Sorry to make y'all shake a little bit there. Okay. So now that I put that on, I use painter's tape. Painter's tape is supposed to, like, you know, keep the bleed, and it's supposed to have a nice seal and all of that so you don't have runs. So it's kind of the same thing. Masking tape can be used, but to me, it's not the same type of seal. Some people will just do a bunch of heat tape. I used to be people until I started using this, and you can get the Dollar Tree ones. This one is from A to Z Prime, and I prefer this because I get more bang for my buck. At one point, I thought I was doing something by going to the Dollar Tree, and then I realized how small the ones at the Dollar Tree are, and I was spending way too much money. I purchased a box of these, and I have not had to that was, I don't know how many months ago, because it's much larger, and it was like 6 or 8 rolls in there. So here I am thinking I'm doing something by going to the Dollar Tree, and I was going through way too many of them. So I switched to a good pack from A to Z. And I think these are like the A to Z choice. All right, so I don't need this one because I have a pre-cut. So I take a piece and I put it on the seam. I like to start, now this is one where this is like the parentheses exponent. This has an order to it, okay? In a one over the other. I like to start at the top and place that to make sure that I don't go over the edge. And then when it comes to the bottom, I use my squeegee, or you can just break it off, but I like to kind of make it straight, especially when it's on that roll, before I get to the bottom. And I tear that off because I don't want it to bend, to curl over the bottom, okay? So we're just going to burnish this down. Now this one is another one. So now we have the addition and subtraction. It doesn't matter if you do top or bottom, you know, that's one of those things. They're interchangeable. We're going to take another piece or 2 more pieces of the painter's tape, and we're going to go across the tops and bottoms of them. It's going to make sure that it's really, really tight along those edges and keep any gas from escaping. People will say, I cringe when people say, you don't want to let air in. Letting air in isn't the enemy. The gases having a way of escape is the enemy, because if it has a way of escape, it's not going to go onto your substrate, i.e. your tumbler. So you want to seal that in and apply pressure to it. And if you're using a tumbler press, the tumbler press will apply that pressure. You need to find that sweet spot to make sure that it does not leave any gaps for the gas to get out. In an oven, we tape it down to ensure that seal, okay? So I'm going to take another piece here. And we want to start on the side, like that overlap, because we're going to pull across. So it's just helping to pull it. We try not to go in the opposite direction. If you happen to do that, don't take the tape off. Trust me, it will be fine, because those 1-inch tapes, they're not the thin ones. That 1-inch tape will keep it in place. We have the thick tape on the seam. So if you go the other way, it's very unlikely that your paper is going to ripple. But we try to just be in the practice of going from whichever side, because everybody's different, that your overlap is. You just want to continue to go that way. So I make sure that I don't go over the edge, which is why I have my little crease there. You want it to go on square so that it doesn't shift, and we're going to pull it. And then I just take my hand around it, just make sure it's nice and smooth. We're going to do the same thing to the top, starting away from the seam. And then we're going to pull over. Remember, guys, all of the Honestly Speaking Sublimation paper on the website is $15.63 in honor of our 4-year anniversary that we celebrated on Wednesday. You still have access to it for $15.63. Okay, so boom. Now I trim because we have all this extra paper. This is one of the number one reasons why you guys have bad tumblers. You're leaving too much of this paper on the top and bottom. You just go like this and put your tape on it. No, trim this off, okay? On the top part, you can trim. I still like to have a little bit so that I can fold it over. I mean, you can make it to where it's right to the edge. But again, remember, we're trying to keep that gas in. So what helps me is folding that over to make sure that it is sealed in. We don't have to worry about getting little ripples and little pockets because we put the painter's tape. That's going to keep it flat. No matter what I do with this, along that edge is flat. I'm not going to get those pockets. There's method to the professor's madness. I'm a science geek, so I think about those type of things when I'm developing my methods, okay? All right. I tried to do tumblers, but the paper wouldn't peel off. I gave up. Thinking I'm going to try again. So let me tell you why that probably happened. One, you weren't using Honestly Speaking paper. And I'm not being, just trying to promote when it comes to that, but there are certain papers with, like, depending on the method that you're using and the coating on it, it will stick to your tumblers. But the main one is probably you got a bad batch of tumblers where the coating on it was not cured. If you have those exact same tumblers, okay, if you're going to try again and it's the same exact batch that you tried before, I want you to take those tumblers, of course, take the top off, put them in an oven, 250 degrees for about 10 minutes, okay? 8-10 minutes. That is going to cure that coating that may not be cured. So let's say you do that, it should be cured. Let it cool off. If you put your paper on there and it's still sticking, then it's most likely your paper. Try it with a different brand of paper, okay? Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you for the follow. All right, so we're going to go ahead and trim this down. I usually don't have this much, but I did cut this from a 13 by 19 with my shirt print. When it comes to the bottom, I cut it right before, and I mean right before the color. I never cut into my color because I like to have a nice crispy line on the end, but I cut it right before the color. This ensures that we don't have a lot of bunched up paper because we're trimming it down. It's only a little bit that is being folded over, okay? Now, the time stamp on this is going to seem like this tumbler took a really long time, but that's because I'm explaining. I'm able to get these done really fast. I normally do them while I'm watching TV if I have a large order. It just seems long because I'm explaining it. It may seem like a lot of steps, but that's only because I'm teaching. Once you get the hang of it. Now, your first couple of times, you're going to be nervous. It may take a little while, but I don't want you to think that that's going to be the case every time you do it. Once you are confident in the method and you become consistent in that method, you'll be able to breeze through them like this. Now, if I were doing a tumbler press, I would stop here. And with a tumbler press, I still recommend the heat tape. Why? Because with some of the tumbler presses, the pressure is not always even. And remember what I said, if you give it a way of escape, you're going to have ghosting. So I still like to go to this step for tumbler presses. And then some of the tumbler presses, I mean, well, I'm not saying some of them. If you are using a 20 ounce tumbler on a 20 ounce attachment, the ends of it don't get as hot. They also don't have as much pressure. So you would need to press it, rotate it, press it. Then you want to pull your tumbler out, press the end, make sure it's like towards the middle a little bit, not on the end, but like, towards the middle. Press the end, rotate it, press it, flip it over, press it, rotate it, press it. So with our paper, you're going to press the main part of it 30 seconds each, and then you would press the ends for 10 seconds each, and you should have amazing tumblers. But because I'm going to put this in an oven, I have to seal this off. There's not enough pressure here. The gas can escape. It's gas. It can find the smallest little spot and escape. So I have to seal my ends. I'm going to do that with my heat tape. We're going to apply this the same way that we did the masking tape. Not masking, painter's tape. We're going to start away from the seam. I use the 2-inch tape. We want 1 inch on the tumbler and 1 inch above the tumbler. And we're just going to wrap it around. Once we get it wrapped, we're going to go up and in, up and in, up and in. Try not to have too much overlap. Like right there was a lot of tape. I'm normally doing it off the roll and it's like right at, but that was a pre-cut and I should have cut it down. Okay, and we just push them all inside. And then I'm going to flip it over. And we're going to do the bottom. And I'm going to trim this one down. I don't like, especially on the bottom, I don't like having all of that extra tape. I can't really pull it back because it's like my other camera's on here. So all I did was just wrap it. I can show you, I won't have a design on it, but I can wrap another one if need be. But I have tons of videos on my YouTube, tons and tons of videos doing this process. Okay. And then we're just going to go here and then we're going to go up, up. And I'm just pushing it to press the tape. I'm not worried about this part that's sticking up. I'm literally just pushing it to where, right where the tape, the end of the paper, I just want the tape to meet the tumbler. And I just make sure it's on there nice and tight. And then I push it down. Okay. And it's going to go in an oven. The one that I have, it doesn't do 365. So I take it to 375. I think actually it is preheated by now. It's probably cut off, but it will be in there for technically 4 minutes. It should be, but I know I'm going to forget and I have to go rotate. Like I said, that one, it doesn't maintain the air. The heat as well anymore. So I will have to rotate this in there. So I'm going to put this in, say 2 minutes. We're going to start the shirt. Then we're going to go back and rotate it and do it that way. Okay. So let me go put this in and I will be right back. Any questions that you guys have, go ahead and put them in the chat now so that I can address them when I come back. So I do see one here. Have you explained how to avoid ghosting on dark colors? That's a constant issue, a constant issue for me. How to avoid that? Go ahead to the website, get you some of this Honestly Speaking sublimation paper. When you're on the website, get the 2-inch heat tape. Get the 1-inch heat tape. And you want to get you some 1.5-inch painter's tape. That's the method. This tumbler that I'm doing is going to be it's mainly black. It has a full black background. We did this one on live the other day. On my phone, it looks weird because of the LED light. Those over on Facebook and YouTube, you guys see that that is very much so black. It looks a little plum over here, but that's because of the LED light. And that's where you're going at for the ink, the paper, and the tape. Okay. So drop your questions in the chat, guys. Drop your questions, and I will be right back. I'm going to go put this in the oven, and then we're going to start the next part of this, okay? All right. Okay. 8:49. All righty. Let's see. Yes, 365, 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to move this all out of the way. We're now going to do the shirt, because that's probably going to be the fastest thing that I can do in those 3 minutes. Remove this because I don't need it right now. I'm going to put my shirt down. You want to have the collar off of your platen. I don't remember what I pressed, so I don't know what the pressure is like on here. So we're going to check our pressure. Not enough. I gotta put the Loctite on this side. I did this side, but I gotta do that side too. Okay. All right, well, 1. There we go. Okay. So we don't need heavy pressure. We just need even pressure. Now that was considered a pre-press, but if I'm doing other shirts, I don't then press it again. So I'm going to tilt you guys, give you a better angle over on TikTok. And I think I also need to tilt you guys some, just a little bit. All right, there we go. So I'm going to take my print. I like to fold it in half so that I find my center. This is a V-neck shirt. I want it centered on the chest. So some people barely go down like, on these shirts because it's like a V-neck, but I like for it to be centered on the shirt. You also don't want to go off of, if you left white, we don't want to go off of the top of the paper. You have to kind of see through. Our paper, you can't really see it through, but you can see through it. And you want to make sure, like if you're going to do fingers, that you're going by the design. So just because the paper is here, I have to go by the design. So I have to move this up. So I gave that disclaimer. It's going to seem like this is pretty high because of the paper, but that's not where my design is, because I don't cut and do like, the little trim right close to the design. So we're going to put this about here. I only need about 2 fingers to where the design is, and there are like some little elements that kind of pop up that aren't like the main part of the design. So we should be good about there. You can use a ruler. As a newbie, if you're new to shirts, you can use a ruler to measure, or you can use the hand method where you'll put your hand there and just make sure that it is even on both sides, which this actually needs to come over just slightly, because this is more of an offset design because of some of the extra stuff over here. All right, just make sure that your collar is off of the platen so that we have even pressure. The sleeves aren't going to be that bad for this size, but when you introduce seams and collars, that will affect your pressure. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, no tape, no nothing, no butcher paper on top, no butcher paper inside, and we're going to go ahead and press this for 30 seconds. Once that comes up, my 3 minutes are up. I got to run to get the tumbler, or go rotate the tumbler in the oven. Not really worried about it burning because of how our paper is. And this 30 seconds, we're going to get this, and then we're going to go run. I probably should have ran in there and turned it and then ran back in these 30 seconds, but I don't want this to sit longer than 30 seconds. Bam. Now, to knock my line of demarcation out, I'm going to do that after the fact because I have to still do the rag. So by line of demarcation, I mean this line right here that comes from the paper. All right, so give me a second. Force of habit. Okay, so shirt, we're going to come back to get that line of demarcation out. Okay, this design was made all in Silhouette Studio. I took some elements from Canva, just brought them over, but the design itself was all put together in Silhouette Studio. You can do a lot in Silhouette Studio. All right, so let's see. Did I miss anything? Do you know where I can find sublimation stickers? No, I do not. Hey, this is either Eric or D. Hi. Thank you for jumping on. Okay, so now we're going to do the rag. I'm going to put this down here because when we heat this up, the threads can melt. And I don't want it to mess up my platen, my bottom or my top one. I've done it before, so I don't want it to mess that up. As always, we always trim down our edges. Even though my edges will not touch the rag, I don't want that to gas off and get on my platen, and then it will affect the next thing that I press where it's not fully covered. So I still to trim down my edges, even though I'm going to put this whole entire image onto, like, this whole thing is going to cover up the rag. So I'm going to flip this over. Make sure it's centered. Make sure my rag stays covered because I don't want to get any of that plastic onto my platen. So I'm looking through it just at where it's at. Okay. I am going to add a little bit more pressure to this. And I'm sorry, it's just probably rattling in y'all ear real bad on Facebook and YouTube because the microphone's there and this paper is here. So my apologies. I'm going to add a little bit more pressure. And then I'm going to let it go for about 35, 40 seconds because of the polyamide that's in it. Okay. So once this 30 seconds is over with, I can hear the oven. I'm going to go and get that. Okay, it's Eric. All right, cool beans. Thank you so much, Quiet Stone, for the follow. Make sure that you guys are liking the video, giving the video a thumbs up. Remember, in honor of our 4-year Inkiversary, all available paper on the website is $15.63, all sizes. Keep sublimation alive. Ha! They're actually not that. I'm surprised they do good because most times they do really, really bad. I hate those scissors. They need to be sharpened. That's what I'm letting it go for a little bit longer because of the polyamide. And I know this is probably ringing in your ear right now because the microphone is right up under the heat press. But I'm just letting it go for an additional 10 seconds because of that polyamide that's in there. This rag is like 89% polyester and the rest is polyamide. Let's see, what is it? Oh, it doesn't say it on here. Oh, no, it does. So this one is 88% polyester, 12% polyamide. So there's that. The ones from the Dollar Tree are 100% polyester. All right, so let's go grab our tumbler. So I'm going to let this cool because I never have heat gloves. So I'm going to put it over here so it can cool down. And we're going to get that line of demarcation out of our shirt. can't really, if I use this, that is going to get onto the shirt, the little sticky, not the sticky, what's that stuff called? The little plastic pieces. So my method, and I wanted to do this where it goes cold so that you can see it does not matter if you do it when you first press it or after. You can press it and still get that line out even if the shirt has cooled off. So I really, really wanted to show this, that it does not matter that it cooled off. We're going to cover this. I'm using butcher paper because my heat press is 16 inches wide and the butcher paper is 18. Parchment paper is 16 inches wide. So if you have a 15 by 15 press, you can use parchment paper or butcher paper. The key though is to make sure that the paper does not touch your, like the edges of the paper cannot be reintroduced to the substrate, to the shirt. So we're going to go like this, and I'm going to turn my pressure up. So I normally, if I'm doing a bunch of shirts, I will press them all and then come back in, adjust the pressure, and then knock the line out of all of them. And I only had a pressure of like, it was barely at 1. It just puts a line around the paper, especially depending on the shirt. Polyester is kind of like memory foam. Polyester is made up of plastic. So if you put something on it and you have that, because we have the soft platen, it sinks into it. So the edge of that paper sinks into that shirt, and it's almost like memory foam because polyester is nothing but plastic. It's man-made. So now we're going to press all of those fibers back together. And we want to do it for about 10 to 12 seconds. I went way too long on that. We cannot use this. We discard it because the image is on there. It won't mess up the color. It doesn't, this is hot, go through because we're not over sublimating. We're only at 365, and that line of demarcation is now gone. So we have our shirt. We have our rag. Now, let's reveal our tumbler. Our paper does not bleed through, so you're not going to like see your design coming through like with other papers for that to be your indicator that it has sublimated. Let's just take a peek here because sometimes I definitely got to get a new oven in here. I let it go for a little bit longer, but damn it, I can see. And that's why when I'm doing it in this oven, I like to kind of peek. I'm going to let it go for, actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to use my heat gun for these edges because it's a little bit off on the edges. So I'm going to use my heat gun. Instead of going back to the kitchen. But yeah, I think it's time for me to get a dedicated one. If you've watched my videos when I did it in the big oven, you know that I don't have to rotate it. I don't have these issues. But with the little oyster one, because the door on it is messed up. And this is going to aggravate me because I don't really know like how long. I don't really do it this way. Some people in the group said that this works, but we're going to see. it is definitely time for me to get a dedicated oven for my tumblers. And I'll probably get like an actual sublimation one because they look like the door fully closes. I didn't have a major issue with it before, even though there is a gap. The oyster one, you just have like the handle and it's just glass. So there's no seal on it. This is why I prefer to use a regular conventional oven because there is a gasket. There is a seal. That heat stays in there. The oven I usually use, it doesn't have a convection setting. It's just a regular standard oven. But that seal is what helps keep that air in there. And because it's big, it doesn't burn it. I prefer a regular oven. I don't really like using it, but for the sake of tutorials and things like that, I might go and get a sublimation one from either Heat Transfer, Warehouse, or Heat Press Nation, or like one of those. I don't know, because I don't think the bank spots, I know they have tumbler presses, but I don't know if they have like the actual sublimation ovens. I think they use the oyster one, but I don't want to get another oyster one. I mean, it works, but I don't want another one of those. Okay, my little thing ain't powerful enough. It was starting to go out. I probably should have just went back and put it in the oven. Here's where I do wish I had a tumbler press, because I would have just pressed the ends. Or I wish I would have had my mug press set up. I would have just pressed the ends with my mug press. Because I don't even know how effective this is. Some people in the groups say that this is effective. I don't know. I know I shouldn't have to do my seam, but I'm gonna do it anyway. This is very time consuming. I don't see why people do this. Okay, hopefully this is done. If not, I'll just keep this one as an example and I will go, because this is the order for today. I will wrap another one. It smells burnt. I will wrap another one and then take it to the big oven because, yeah, we're going to see. Yeah, I'm not going to like this one. I'm probably going to just reprint it, rewrap it, and then take it to the big oven at my mom's house. Because we don't have one, because the area when we bought our house, they had a 23-inch oven. It went out, and I am not spending money on a 23-inch oven. That's just ridiculous. So when we redo our kitchen and I can get a real oven, a real size one, because 23 inches, like who in the hell puts a 23-inch oven in a house that's freaking 4 bedrooms? Like that means you had people in this house that needed to eat. How did you survive with a 23-inch oven with 4 bedrooms full of people? See, the bottom is good. It was just the top that has like a couple spots. I might be okay with this one. Yeah, see, the rest of it is good. It's literally right here at the top. All right, y'all ready? Yeah, it's the top part. That so sucks. I mean, this was an otherwise perfect tumbler. The top just was not it. But look at the rest of it. Look at, you can't even tell where the seam is. And look at the bottom. But yeah, that top part got a little funky. And I turned it, so I don't know. That oven just must be really, really bad on heat. I probably should have flipped it and then turned it instead of just leaving it one way, because it just probably didn't get enough heat on the bottom, because the top part, so it sits like this, so that bottom one didn't have enough heat, whereas the top one did. So I probably, when I rotated it, if I use that one again, I should flip it and then like turn it to make sure that this part gets heat as well. But there's that. Yeah, everything is perfect except the top, man. Yeah, the bottom is perfect. Yeah, my heat gun, I heard it when it was going out. So I just think that my heat gun wasn't hot enough. I've had that one for years. That thing is probably well over 10 years. I may have even had that one before I had Makai Jeremiah. So it might be over 13 years old. But I know for sure 10 years. Thank you. All right. So we've done our shirt, we've done our rag, our tumbler. Any questions for me, guys? Take this opportunity to get the help that you need if you are struggling, if you've run into any issues with sublimation. Take this opportunity to ask your question, and this is what's left. Someone's comment was filtered out. All I see, the last comment I see, well, if your comment sits between the blank spots comment and Quiet Storm hearts, your comment was filtered out. You need to retype it. You can't beat her paper or ink. They are awesome. Any tips on all over shirts? So I'm guessing you're referring to maybe piecing them together. My first tip on that is, even if you have to press it in sections, if you can, whether you out like someone that's local to you or you have to have them shipped, I recommend getting a full print, and that eliminates one step, right? But if you have to piece it together, here are my tips. Let me know when you're ready. Put ready in the comments when you're ready for my tips for all over shirts. How do I remove the line out of the shirt? I increase my pressure and then I pressed it for 10 to 12 seconds. I don't have an F170, so I wouldn't be able to really tell you like the perfect setting for those because I don't have one. And their settings are totally different than the desktop printers. Okay, ready? Ready? All right. So, number one, either use roll paper or pre-tape your papers together before you print. So if yours needs, let's say 8.5 by 14, I recommend if you have a small format printer for your all over shirts, don't waste your 8.5 by 11. You're going to use too many of them. Get 8.5 by 14. It's $15.63 right now on the website. So get the 8.5 by 14 paper, because that's the difference in wasting, you might need 2 papers versus you'll need 3 of 8.5 by 11 just to kind of cover a little bit, right? So let's say if it takes 9 sheets, I don't remember, depends on the size shirt. I'm just going to say 9 just as a safe number, right? It's a kid shirt. Instead of printing out 9 individual ones, you want to set it up to where instead of it being like a print that's 8 or like, let's say 8 by, let's say 10, you're going to set up your print, which we have a class on that as well, where we kind of really, really break that down, where you're going to break it up. You can either move it around, you can do it as a poster print, but you want to print the full 47 or however many, like 3 of them is together, you're going to put that number in. So your design page will be 8.5 by, let's see, if I were to overlap them and overlap it by 1/2 inch, that would be 14 times 3 minus. So that would be 40 inches. Well, I would still set it up for 42, but I would make my design no more than 40. No, then that means the design I would do no more than like maybe 36, because when you overlap it, it's going to be 40 inches of, if you do like a 1/2 inch overlap, 40 inches of paper from end to end. So that's what you're going to set your design page up for, 8.5 by 40. You're going to print out those 3 sections. When you're printing them out, they have to overlap some. So where the end of one side of the design is, on that next set of sheets, it needs to be like part of the end of this design needs to be the start of the next paper, so that when you're piecing them together, there is overlap. You need to use a paper that does not bleed, because with that overlap, if you're using a paper like that, sublimation one, because it bleeds through, you're going to see that ink, or you may see that ink on your shirt when you're pressing it for 460 seconds and you're overlapping. It's going to go through and you're going to see that line of demarcation where that overlap was. So it's best to use a paper that does not bleed. And then you're going to do the same thing. So instead of now piecing together 9 after they print out, you have long sheets and you only have to piece together technically 3 sheets. If you have the roll paper, just roll it out, cut it to 40 inches, feed that in, and it's still the same concept. Okay. When you are taping them together, heat tape is cool, painter tape is best. So my recommendation is, for the back of the sublimation paper, use painter tape, because that's going to help get a good seal, and where that overlap is, that ink is not going to escape. Okay. Next, get you a roll of brown craft paper. Brown craft paper, or it's like the paper that they'll cover the floors with for painting. You can get it at like the hardware stores. It's the brown paper. Get that, not a hardboard. Not a hardboard. Some people will use it, but if you're asking me, my tips, and when I'm doing these, I do not recommend a hardboard. You are meant to press on something that is soft. This helps with proper pressure. Putting a hardboard makes it a solid, rigid surface, and that causes more issues than helps. So there was somebody, I know Mr. Maine used to have the hardboard, but he would put the thin foam like on top of his hardboard just to keep it where it was level. On the top of his hardboard, he would put foam. I don't use it at all. I just use the big craft paper so that my shirt is fully supported, and then I'm able to move it around. If you are using tacky paper, it sticks to the shirt. So you can easily press it, move it, and where you press that, it's not going to shift. So if you can, get tacky paper. I think we may only have, I'm not sure what do we have in stock. We had tacky. We're going to end up doing a pre-order for more tacky paper, because a lot of people have been asking. They're missing, having the 11 by 17 and 13 by 19. But know that pre-order will only be open to exclusive members of our Creative Lounge. Just like the paper you have to be in the Creative Lounge to get the best price on it. Okay. So once you go and if you have the tacky paper, all you have to then do is, first, before we get there, right? So when you put your print down, you're going to put down your craft paper, or you have butcher paper or whatever. And actually, no, let me back up. Put your shirt down onto your paper. So you have to put it on the floor, or you can use a hardboard so that it's a nice solid surface. You're going to put your shirt down. A jig definitely helps with the areas under the arms. You can use ram board, or if you were able to purchase or find the really big pieces of Teflon sheet, and you'll have to cut it down to your shirt size. If you're going to do that method, that means that you have to be very consistent with the shirt brand that you use. And you will have to have a jig for each of the sizes. You may want to have 2 or 3 of them. That way you can preload, and then maybe somebody's helping you. One comes off, they have another jig, and they're taking the shirt off and they're preloading it. But you will need to have a jig. All shirts are not created the same. So you would have to create that jig for that brand of shirt that you are using. That part is very, very specific. Okay. If you're not going to do the jig, with or without the jig, because you don't have a larger heat press, you want to tape it down. Here is where those wider heat tapes come into play. Okay, this is where they are beneficial. We have 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 and 6 inches. That's the 3. No, that's the 2. That's the 3. Where is the 4 and the 6? I don't see them right now, but we have 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inches, 6 inches. This is where the wider heat tapes come into play, or they're really great for things like this, because you can take that 2-inch tape and you're going to go around your shirt, especially if you are using fast dry paper and it's not tacky. You don't want it to move. So you're going to put your shirt down. You're going to have your sublimation paper facing up. You're going to put your shirt down on it, and you're going to tape the shirt to your print. Tape the shirt to your print, preferably with the 2-inch tape. Okay? Once you tape it down, you're going to put the craft paper on top, or you can just flip it over there. Try to trim your paper down and not have once you have it taped down, trim off, like in the shape of it, a lot of the extra. And then when you put it onto the craft paper, you are going to tape that down, but you don't waste your heat tape. This is a little bit pricier. That's when you would use your painter's tape. And you're going to tape the printed sheet that the shirt is taped to, tape that to your craft paper. And then proceed to press. You can move it around. That's going to ensure that you have stability. It's not going to move. It may seem like a lot, but you are doing a hack. So hacks normally take more effort. But those are my tips for all over if you are piecing it together and using a small heat press. And let me know how it works out for you, okay? Does sublimation paper expire or lose quality for printing over time? Not really. I have sublimation prints that I intentionally printed years ago, and I occasionally will do videos with it where I will press it and show that it works. So I have actually done a video where I pressed a print that was 6 months old, that was a year old, and I think one of the ink anniversaries I pressed something that was 2 years old. So as long as it's not exposed to a lot of moisture, it doesn't lose its ability to transfer. The paper just holds the ink. You can print onto a brown paper bag. In our sublimation seminar, I do this whole demonstration where I print onto colored cardstock. You don't see any of the colors on the cardstock because it's a colored cardstock, and the ink is translucent. But once it's pressed, you then see the colors. So the paper, as long as it's no moisture to where, like how we had those mouse pads, where are they at? And that paper had moisture on it. I don't know how it got moisture on it. So when it had that moisture, it didn't fully transfer in those, and you can see where the rippling of the paper was. So moisture is not great for sublimation, but as long as you keep it in a cool, dry place. I used to store mine in like a little tub. I also stored it in our box, like a paper box. I've stored it in those, and I've used those prints months and years later. They have already started. If you sign up for it, so if you are in it for the free trial, it doesn't automatically start. You have to go on there and enroll. But enrollment is now open for everyone. Could you please explain the reasoning to have a resale or license permit? This is not that type of live video, so I could not do that in this. If you're in the Creative Lounge, that's a question that you definitely can ask in the next session. But right for this one, I'm sticking to nothing but sublimation questions and answers. Last call for questions. Guys, don't be afraid. Ask your questions. I don't bite. I promise you I don't. I don't bite. How do you know what paper doesn't bleed? All I can tell you is, honestly speaking, paper does not bleed. For all the other ones, you would have to press it. If you see the image through the back, it's a paper that bleeds. If when you put your butcher paper on top of your print, you see the print on your butcher paper, it bleeds. This, no ink comes through the back. It's a one-way paper for the gases. You see nothing coming through the back, and this was a black design. Nothing comes through. Thanks. I was asking specifically about blank paper, not printed yet, but I'm guessing that yes, it's still the same. What's my go-to sublimation substrate for dark shirts? I try to not do them, to be honest, but if I have to, because it's like something a last minute order, I like Econo transfers. I will put it in the chat. It should be on the recommendations on our website as well. Econo transfers, Econo Sublime that's now like my all-time favorite because they have satin, they have flock, they have a twill now, which I cannot wait to do this Letterman jacket with this twill. So if I'm doing something like patches is when I like to use that method, but I don't typically put a lot of design like things on like just to put it on a dark shirt just for the hell of it. Like I like the glitter HTV. I cannot use Econo Subs glitter HTV, but like Caesar's HTV and some of the others you can use that. So I like just putting it on there to give it that shimmer, that really really shiny look of the satin. I like it for that. When I'm doing stuff like pajamas, I love using the flock one because it's really soft because they're color pajamas. So I only use them for certain projects. I just don't, if I'm going to do a dark shirt and I have time, I'm going to order a DTF print or I'll use my rolling BN20. I don't really like to use those for shirts, but I'll do it that way. When it comes to darker shirts, I feel like there are other methods. Sublimation is a very unique process. And if I don't need that, the look and feel of those specialty HTVs, I don't gravitate like to do that. Like I don't try to purposely figure out a way to put a design on a dark shirt or a cotton shirt. But I love Econo Subs, Econo Transfers, Econo Sub. The satin is my number one favorite. I think the twill is going to be my favorite. I just don't know how it cuts. Then it's flock. Then it's the fabric one. The vinyl is my least favorite. Yes, it will be. It's been a while. I'm hoping that I get all new people, but for me, nothing changes. This is not like an advanced one. So when I'm doing the sublimation seminars, they are designed for beginners. So if you've already taken it, it's not going to be any new information for you because there's nothing new about sublimation. And you'll be able to, if you want to come, you can come because it's going to still be under the same exact class that it was before. So the new Zoom link will be put on there. So if you want to come and learn maybe from questions that other people ask or just the new images, you're more than welcome to. But I teach the same information over and over and over and over and over because it's designed for newbies. Thank you for the information on the tumblers. Peace and prosperity. We'll definitely tune in again. You'll have to subscribe or follow 365 Creative Academy. Tomorrow will be my last day doing live Q&As on any platform, like the way that I do them now. So you'll see me working, but I will not be answering like crafter type questions when you see them on this platform. Tomorrow is the last day. I've been doing this for 10 years. Tomorrow I'm going back to my orders, my custom stuff, and you'll see me doing orders. If I'm not in my exclusive creative lounge, if I'm doing something to kind of generate customers, but tomorrow will be the last day. So as I said, get your questions in. for sublimation. Tomorrow will be a general Q&A. Oh yes, I love a good sublimated coffee mug. I'm not big on the UV-DTF. I tried it once. It's just, yeah, for a full design. I mean, it was cool, but yes, I'm definitely a sublimation kind of gal for coffee mugs. Hey, Jane, how are you? Welcome in. Thank you, Baby Jean. You're welcome, Baby Jean. Hey, Wakita Creative Expressions, how are you? All right. We are actually wrapping up. You would have to watch the playback unless you have a specific question for me. We are wrapping up. So if you have a specific question, let me know. If not, you will have to watch the playback of this. We went through a tumbler that got messed up because I need a new dedicated oven because our oven has seen better days and the door on it is messed up. And so when it was like this, I guess the air coming in, because heat rises, so it was harder at the top. Down here it didn't get enough. I spent it, but I should have flipped it like this as well, and I did it. So my top on this looks a little funky. I'll probably go to the big oven and put it in there and redo it. We also did a shirt, and I showed the technique for getting the lines of demarcation out of it. And then we did a rag, and I gave some tips and things on doing a rag as well. Can't wait for my paper. Awesome. We'll rewatch when it's posted. It'll be right after this. You'll be able to go back and rewatch it. All right, tomorrow I gotta go find a dress, but sometime tomorrow I'm gonna try and do an early morning one. Then I have a baby shower to go to, and then after that I'm gonna try and do a later evening one because, like I said, tomorrow will be a general one. That will be my last Q&A for a long time. Okay. Nah, I don't like, so if it's not supposed to be that way, I'm not that kind of put something on it and like putting vinyl on it. That's just not my thing. So I don't really, it works for some, but that's just not me. If it's meant to be all sublimation, the cost of a tumbler, I'd rather remake it because I can always use this for teaching purposes. There are some good angles on it. I can keep this one for picture purposes, and then I can fix this part on the editing room floor. But that way I don't have to rush to give it to my client. I can take all the pictures that I need of it. So if anything, I use it for other things within my business. I don't worry about trying to do cover-ups. That's just me though. Just put in my second order this week. Yes, I mean, take advantage because I'm not going to forget this time. I was really busy. I had an obituary design to do, an 8-page spread with well over 100 and some odd pictures. A game board, had to design this. I had to do some decals. I have a large cutout to do. So I was really, really focused on some other stuff, but that price will go back. Like it will change. It's gonna still kind of sort of be a little bit discounted. I will tell you the 8.5 by 14 will remain at $15.63. But the other ones will change a little bit. So take advantage of it now. You're welcome. I mean, I love doing this, but we are kind of pivoting a little bit here. Probably won't be a permanent pivot, but I just kind of have to take a little step back. Yes, it is still on sale right now. Shop.hsink365.com. I completely forgot to have that going across the bottom of the screen. But the description, I mean, the link is in the description of the video. And it's also on, where'd that cup go? Where's the other tumbler? Well, I'll be darned. Where in the heck did it go? Oh, here it is. There is the website. You're welcome. You are very, very welcome. I'm going to miss y'all. It's going to be really, really hard to not do live Q&As. It's going to be very, very, very hard for me. I'm going to have to really, a lot of discipline, okay? It's going to definitely teach me discipline. But join me tomorrow for one of my last Q&As for a while. I will probably do them periodically, but it'll be my last one for a while. Yes, I will still be doing the classes. We still have Essential Silhouette Studio. That class is next week, Thursday. We have the phone board next week, Tuesday. We're doing selfie frames. So we still have those classes. And then the Creative Lounge is where I will be spending a lot of my time at, where you'll get to see me in the capacity of, for lack of a better word, as a crafter in business. So you'll get to see me design. Like I'll be doing either live Watch Me Works, whether you will join or not, or if I just put it on and hit, let it stream, and then you guys can come on and watch it, whatever later. But you will literally get to see my everyday process and how I, maybe some days I might be able to take a call, and you'll see how I communicate with my customers. But you're going to get to see firsthand someone who is successful in the business, how I run that business, how when I'm designing my schedule, how I'm planning stuff out. That is what the Creative Lounge is. It's going to give you an inside look at what it's like to kind of run this business. And I'm someone that normally has a lot of orders and then like multiple units in orders. Everything from designing, pro call sessions. Our design challenges are going to be exclusively in the Creative Lounge. When the fourth quarter hits and we do all of our design challenges, those will only be in the Creative Lounge. You can sign up month to month. You can sign up quarterly or annually. And we did add an option for a month to month where it's not an auto renewal. So the one that says, like on the list, it says month to month. With that one, you have to go in, like you would have to come to the site and do it every single month. Because someone asked about PayPal. The site does not allow you to set up a subscription using PayPal as your payment method. It has to be either a credit card. I think they even do like Cash App or whatever. And then like for the one-time payments, you can use like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, things like that. But for the subscriptions, it's either a credit card or I want to say it's like Cash App Cash or something like that. But if you want to use PayPal, it will not auto renew. You can set it up and you can do it do it quarterly. And after that quarter is over with, you're going to see that you lost access. And then you just have to go back in and just do the quarterly again. Or you can do the annual one and you pay that and you won't have to worry about it again for the entire year. But there is a month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year that will not auto, it will not do auto payments on it. But then the ones that just say 3 months with 3 days free or annual with 3 days free, those are auto renewal. Cool. I like Watch Me Work videos. It's motivational for me and keeps me company while I'm at work. While I work, yes. But hopefully I just won't keep you guys company. You will engage as well. So thank you for the follow, Rita. Make sure that you guys follow me over on 365 Creative Academy as well. Now, if I do any type of teaching one, it will be on that platform. That's the other thing too, on YouTube. If I do teach and I come on for a Q&A, it's going to be on 365 Creative Academy's YouTube. And then Facebook, I will only stream to 365 Creative Academy on Facebook whenever I do them. It won't be from Shakia Lavelle like anymore, or from the Honestly Speaking or HSE 365 Miami. It will be on all 365 Creative Academy platforms. Does it equal to be the same price with either choice you do? So if you do month to month, it is slightly more because we can't like, change it. Whereas when you do the auto renew, the first month is $36.50, but each month thereafter is $25.63. If you're doing month to month, each month will be $36.50. When you're doing the annual one, the 3-month one, it's like a 3-month one, and then it will like reset at that price. But if you're doing it quarter to quarter, it's a higher price. The yearly one, I think it might be slightly higher. No, the yearly one is the same because it's still for a year. So the yearly one is the same, I believe, but the quarter to quarter and month to month, they are slightly higher when you're doing them month to month versus an auto renewal. Good night. Where do you sign up for the Creative Lounge? Okay, I will see. I can screen share for you guys. If I clear my desk off, I guess I can move it over for. I guess I can move it over for everybody. Don't judge my desk, y'all. Okay, don't judge my desk. It's a hotmess.com. But let me go over here and flip everybody around. Like I said, don't talk about my desk. It's a little junky. It's a little junky, okay? Let me move y'all over here so I can see. Yeah, I'm for y'all for the what's this? I'm just gonna go ahead and screen share for y'all because yeah, my desk looks horrible. Ha! All right, let's see. Present, share screen, entire screen, share. All right, so you're going to go to our website, 365 Creative Academy, okay? 365 Creative Academy. You just Google it. It will take you here. You're going to click on all courses. And you're going to see Creative Lounge. It's an actual class. The Essentials one, that is a community that you have to be a part. You have to enroll in the Essentials so you can't just be in that particular lounge. So you're looking for a Creative Lounge. It's purple. The artwork for this is also going to change to the other cover art. So we're going to click on here. So you're going to see this one eventually. This is our Creative Lounge. When you're on here, well, see, mine says resume course. But down here, you can see the options because, of course, I'm technically enrolled in it. So you have $36.50 for the first payment, $25.63 each month thereafter, and you would click on that. So if I click on that, you're going to see that, let me go to incognito. Creative Academy. So just Google 365 Creative Academy and hey, why are we not coming up? I guess because I use it everywhere else. All right, so we're going to go www.365creativeacademy.com. There we go. And then we're going to go to all courses, Creative Lounge, and see up here, you will see it. And it'll say, so the options are all here, but if you scroll down, it tells you like everything. So $36.50 for the first payment, $25.63 every month onward. And you click get started. You're going to see that you only have an option for a card or a cash app pay. And then you have month to month, $36.50. It will you have to come in and manually renew every single month. But with this one, you will get the option of PayPal, and I don't know why they have Afterpay. If that's the case, I'm going to have to put a buy now, pay later option because we lose money when you guys use Afterpay, and that's just not fair to us. So I will have to change that one because they do give you that option for just $25. And yeah, taking 10% off of $25 is not good for me. Then you have the 1 year payment is just 1 year. It will not auto renew. That is $265.63. Quarter to quarter, you will have to manually renew every 3 months. but they will give you the same options. And then when you come here to the, yeah, so I thought so. The annual one is the same. Oh, the quarter to quarter was the same also. So 73.65. And then when you come here, you only have the option of card or Cash App. But when you go quarter to quarter, you have all of the options. And because of the price, they now offer you Affirm as well. So that's where you would go at to sign up for the Creative Lounge. Any other questions? We will have a pro call session. I'm sending the email out on Sunday. There will be a pro call session on Sunday. Which pro call sessions are technically open to anyone. Just check your emails, but you don't get a playback of it if you're not in the Creative Lounge. And pro call sessions are basically Q&As via Zoom. And you can share your screen. You can show your actual like project, like how it messed up or whatever. And you basically get a free help, free coaching session when you join the pro call sessions. It's like a free coaching call. You just got to come with your questions. All right, no other questions. Thank you guys so very much. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.